Chapter 14. Rutonji Vadia of Nanded, Saint Moli Sahib, Dakshina Mimamsa. In the last chapter, we described how Baba's words and grace cured many incurable diseases. Now we shall describe how Baba blessed Mr. Rutonji Vadia with an issue. The life of saints is quite naturally sweet in and out. His various doings, eating, walking, and his natural sayings are also sweet. His life is a bliss incarnate. Sai gave it out as a means of his devotees' remembrance to him. He gave them various stories of duty and action, which ultimately led them to the true religion. Its object may be that people should live happily in this world, but they should be ever cautious and gain the object of their life, that is self-realization. We get human body as a result of merits in the past birth, and this is worthwhile that with this aim we should attain devotion and liberation in this life. We should never be lazy, but always be alert to gain our end and aim of life. If you daily hear the Leelas of Sai, you will always see him. Day and night you will remember him in the mind. When you assimilate Sai in this way, your mind will lose its fickleness, and if you go on in this manner, it will finally be merged in pure consciousness. Rutonji of Nanded. Now let us come to the main story of this chapter. In Nanded, in the Nizam state, there lived a Parsi milk contractor and trader by name Rutonji Sharpuji Wadia. He had amassed a large amount of money and had acquired fields and lands. He had got kettles, horses, conveyances, and was very prosperous. To all outward appearance, he looked very happy and contented, but inwardly he was not so. Providential dispensation is such that no one in this world is completely happy and rich. Rutanji was no exception to this. He was liberal and charitable, gave food and clothing to the poor, and helped all in various ways. The people took him to be a good and happy man, but Rutanji thought himself miserable as he had no issue, male or female, for a long time. As kirtan is without love or devotion, music of singing without the rhythmical accompaniment, Brahman without the sacred thread, proficiency in all arts without common sense, pilgrimage without repentance, and ornamentation without a necklace are ugly and useless. So is the house of a man or household without a male issue. Rutanji always brooded in this matter and said in his mind, would God ever be pleased to grant me a son? He thus looked morose. He had no relish for his food. Day and night he had enveloped with anxiety whether he ever be blessed with a son. He had a great regard for Dasganu Maharaj. He saw him and opened his heart before him. Dasganu advised him to go to Shirdi and take Baba's darshan, fall at his feet and seek his blessing and pray for issue. Rutanji liked the idea and decided to go to Shirdi. After some days he went to Shirdi, took Baba's darshan and fell at his feet. Then opening a basket, he took out a beautiful garland of flowers and placed it around Baba's neck and offered him a basket of fruits. With great respect, he then sat near Baba and prayed to him, saying, many people who find themselves in difficult situations come to you, and you relieve them immediately. Hearing this, I have sought anxiously your feet. Please therefore do not disappoint me. Sai Baba then asked him for dakshina of rupees 5. When Rutanji intended to give, but added that he had already received rupees 3,14,000 from him and that he should pay the balance only. Hearing this, Rutanji was rather puzzled. He could not make out what Baba meant. That was the first time he thought that he went to Shirdi, and how was it that Baba said he had formerly got rupees 3,14,000 from him? He could not solve the riddle, but he sat at Baba's feet and gave the balance of the dakshina asked for, explained to Baba fully as to why he came and sought his help, and that Baba should bless him with a son. Baba was moved and told him not to worry and that his time of bad days have ended. He then gave him Udi, placed his hand on his head and blessed him, saying that Allah would satisfy his heart's desire. Then after taking Baba's leave, Rutanji returned to Nanded and told Dasganu everything that took place at Shirdi. He said and that everything went on well there, but that he had got Baba's darshan and blessing with prasad, but there was one thing which he could not understand. Baba said to him that he had got rupees 3,14,000 before. Please explain as to what Baba meant by this remark. He said to Dasganu, I never went to Shirdi before, and how could I give him the sum of which Baba referred to? To Dasganu also it was a puzzle, and he pondered over it for a long time. Sometime afterward it struck him that Rutanji had received some days ago a Mohammedan saint by name Moli Sahib in this house and had spent money for this reception. This Moli Sahib was a Kuli saint, well known in the people of Nanded. When Rutanji decided to go to Shirdi, this Moli Sahib accidentally came to Rutanji's house. Rutanji knew him and loved him, so he gave a small party in his honor. Dasganu got from Rutanji the yadi or memo of the expense of this reception, and everybody was wonderstruck to see that the expenses amounted to exactly rupees 314,000, nothing more, nothing less. They all came to know that Baba was omniscient, and though he lived in Shirdi, he knew what happened outside far away from Shirdi. In fact, he knew the past, present, and future and could identify himself heart and soul with anybody. In this particular instance, how could he know the reception given by Mauli Sahib and the amount spent therefore, unless he could identify himself with him and be one with him? Rutanji was satisfied with this explanation, and his faith in Baba was confirmed and increased. In due time afterwards, he was blessed with a son, and his joy knew no bounds. It is said that he had in all 12 issues, of which only 4 survived. In a footnote towards the end of the chapter, it is stated that Baba told Rao Bahadur Ari Vinayak Sate after the death of his first wife to remarry and that he would get a son. R.B. Sate married second time. The first 2 issues by his wife were daughters, and he therefore felt very despondent. But the third issue was a son. Baba's word did turn out true, and he was satisfied. Dakshina Mimamsa. Now we shall close this chapter with a few remarks about Dakshina. It is well known fact that Baba always asked for Dakshina from people who went to see him. Somebody may ask a question, if Baba was a fakir and perfectly non-attached, why should he ask for Dakshina and care for money? We shall consider this question broadly now. First, for a long time, Baba did not accept anything. He stored burnt matches and filled his pocket with them. He never asked anything from anybody, whether he was a devotee or otherwise. If anybody placed before him a paise or two, he purchased oil and cherries. He was fond of cherries. Baba smoked a blend of tobacco and cherries, which is a high resin handmade type of cannabis, and is smoked by rolling into a ball. For he always smoked a bidi or chilim. Then some person thought that they could not see the saint empty-handed and therefore placed some copper coins before Baba. If a paste was placed before him, he used to pocket it. But if it was 2-piece coin, he immediately returned it. Then after Baba's fame had spread far and wide, people began to flock in numbers and Baba began to ask Dakshina from them. It is said that in the Shruti, that is the Veda, that puja of the gods is not complete unless a golden coin was offered. If a coin was necessary in the puja of the god, why not it be not in the puja of the saints also? Ultimately, the Shastras expounded upon it that when one goes to see God, king, saint or guru, he should not go empty-handed. He should offer something, preferably a coin or money. In this connection, we may notice the precepts recommended by the Upanishads. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says that the Lord Prajapati advised the god, men and demon by one letter, that is the. The gods understood by this letter that they should practice Dhamma, that is self-control. The men thought or understood they should practice Dana, that is charity. And the demons understood that they should practice Daya, that is compassion. To men, charity or giving was recommended. The teacher in the Taittiriya Upanishad exhorts his pupils to practice charity and other virtues. Regarding charity, he says, give with faith, give with magnanimity, that is liberally, give with modesty, with awe and with sympathy, in order to teach the devotees the lessons of charity and to remove their attachment to money and thus to purify the mind. Baba extracted Dakshina from them. But there was this peculiarity, as Baba said, that he had to give back 100 times of more what he received. There are many instances in which this happened. To quote an instance, Mr. Ganpatrao Bodas, the famous actor, says in his Marathi autobiography that on Baba pressing often and often for Dakshina, he emptied his money bag before him. The result of this was, Mr. Bodas says that later in his life, he never lacked money as it came to him abundantly. There were also secondary meanings of Dakshina in many cases in which Baba did not want any pecuniary amount. To quote 2 instances, the first one is, Baba asked Rs 15 as Dakshina from Professor G.G. Narke, who replied that he did not have even a paise. Then Baba said, I know you have no money, but you are reading Yoga Vasishta. Give me Dakshina from that. Giving Dakshina in this case meant deriving lessons from the book and lodging them in the heart where Baba resides. In the second case, Baba asked a certain lady, that is Mrs. R.A. Tharkar, to give Rs 6 as Dakshina. The lady felt pain as she had nothing to give. Then her husband explained to her that Baba wanted 6 inner enemies, that is lust, anger, avarice, etc., to be surrendered to him. Baba agreed with this explanation. It is to be noted that though Baba collected a lot of money by Dakshina, he would distribute the whole amount by the same day, and the next day would become a poor fakir as usual. When Baba took his Mahasamadhi, after receiving thousands and thousands of rupees as dakshina for about 10 years, he only had a few rupees in his possession. In short, Baba's main objective in taking dakshina from his devotees was to teach them the lessons of renunciation and purification. Postscript: Mr. B.V. Dio of Tana, retired Mamaltar, and a great devotee of Baba, written in the article on the subject Dakshina in Sri Sai Leela magazine, volume 7, page 6 to 26, in which he says, amongst other things, as follows: Baba did not ask Dakshina from all. If some gave Dakshina without being asked, he sometimes accepted it, and at other times he refused it. He asked it from certain devotees only. He never demanded it from those devotees who thought in their mind that Baba should ask them for it, and then they should pay it. If anybody offered it against his wish, he never touched it, and if he kept it there, he asked them to take it away. He asked for small or big amounts from devotees according to their wish, devotion, and convenience. He asked it even from women and children. He never asked all the rich for it or from all the poor. Baba never got angry with those from whom he asked dakshina and who did not give it. If any dakshina was sent through a friend who forgot to hand over the same to Baba, he reminded them somehow of it and made them pay it. On some occasion, Baba used to return some sum from the amount tendered as dakshina and ask the donor to guard it and keep it in the shrine for worship. This procedure benefited the donor or devotee immensely. If anybody offered more than he originally intended to give, he returned the extra amount. Sometimes he asked more dakshina for some than what that was originally intended to give, and if they had no money, asked them to borrow it from others. From some, he demanded dakshina 3 or 4 times a day. Out of the total amount collected at dakshina, Baba spent very little for his own sake, that is for buying chilim, that is a clay pipe, and for the fuel for his dhuni, that is the sacred fire, and all the rest he distributed as charity in varying proportions to various people. All the phalapenny of Shirdi Sansthan was bought by various rich devotees at the instance and suggestion of Radha Krishna Mai. Baba always used to get wild and scolded those who brought costly and rich articles. He said to Mr. Nana Sahib Chandorkar that all his properties consisted of one kopin, that is codpiece, one stray piece of cloth, one kafni, and a tumbril, that is a tin pot, and that all the people troubled him by bringing all these unnecessary, useless, and costly riches. Women and wealth are the two main obstacles in the way of Paramatma. And Baba provided in Shirdi 2 institutions, that is Dakshina and Radha Krishna Mai. Wherever they came to him, he demanded Dakshina from them and asked them to go to school, that is Radha Krishna Mai's home. If they stood these 2 tests well, that is, if they showed that they were free from attachment for women and wealth, their process in spirituality were rapid and assured by Baba's grace and blessing. Mr. Dio had also quoted passages from Gita and Upanishads and shows that charity given in a holy place to a holy personage conduces to the donor's welfare to a great degree. What is more holier than Shirdi and his presiding deity Sai Baba? Bow to Sri Sai, peace be to all.